to Shamanic Sundays, which is very much about using shamanic principles that my dad, you, Tom Pinkson, have learned over the years working with your Indigenous mentors, and blessings and gratitude to them and to mine as well. And how we can integrate that wisdom in our daily challenges, such as when we're having technical problems, as we've had this morning. Anyways, let's start off as we always do with a prayer of gratitude. Poppy, would you lead us in that, please?
Yeah. So my eyes automatically close so I can see on the inner plane a connection with the infinite, underlying, creating cosmic love. That's the essence of our being. Gratitude for this breath of life to you, Creator, Great Spirit, Old One, you who have been always, will be always, or are here now. Thank you for the gifts of creation. Thank you for the opportunity to bring awareness to our awareness. And in the challenging times that we're facing today, we can use our awareness to open our hearts in the midst of so much suffering and challenge and difficulty. We can still bring our awareness down to our hearts and soften our bellies with releasing breath out, opening to the new coming in, to strengthen our ability to wake up in consciousness. Remember that we're more than our bodies, we're more than our thoughts and feelings and stories, we're more than the terrible things happening on Mother Earth right now between people, toward animals, toward the earth, toward the ocean. We're more than all of that. We are connected with the infinite underlying oneness of the universe, and we can be channels for healing, light, and love out into the larger field that so desperately needs more healing, light, and love. And so, Creator, with this day that you give us, help us to be channels for your healing, light, and love out into the world for healing of hearts and minds and spirits, healing of the sacred hoop. May it be so. Oh, Amprios.
Thank you. May it be so.
Yeah.
So I'm going to skip the question that we got this week, and we'll get to it next week, I promise, Sean. But I want to talk about what's happening in Israel and with Hamas right now. And I don't want to get political. I know some folks don't want to hear that. But what I really want to focus on is, in terms of shamanic principles, how we can work with that wisdom, that ancient wisdom, to bring peace into the world, which I know begins with each of us, which it sounds like a cliche. You know, we see it on bumper stickers, we hear it, all the time, peace begins within. But that's a challenge, right? Especially when we're being, as you talk about often, and we know with all of the social media and 24/7 news feeds, we know what's happening, not just in our own hearts and minds, but in our neighbors and down the street and around the world. So it becomes even more challenging with all that information to really cultivate peace. So can you talk to us a little bit about doing that? And if it makes sense to jump right into a visualization on that, let's go for it. I defer to you on that.
Okay, so just take a moment here to listen.
Yeah.
Listen within. First thing that comes up for me is, excuse me, feeling into, bringing awareness into my body now. And what's been triggered in these last few days is acknowledging the horror, acknowledging the truth of the horror of what's taking place with the violence now in Israel, Palestine, and the innocent people, and other places around the world, Ukraine and other places around the world where violence is taking place, and whatever feelings are triggered inside of us by the horror. It's some of it's beyond imagination. It's so It's just hard for the mind to even comprehend or try to comprehend some of the horror of what's taking place. And so if we deny any of those feelings inside of our bodies, then we're just asking for trouble inside of our bodies. So remembering the breath, feel our feelings, breathe in, breathe out, letting go of whatever needs to go. And breathing in with the new breath, healing light and love, breathing in peace into our bodies, helping our bodies relax tension and tightness and constriction and inflammation. Breathing in. The breath comes in so softly, but yet it's so powerful. It's the breath of life. It's the gift of life, force energy flowing into us, and opening to receive it with our awareness and letting it flow down through the pipes of our body, the energy columns of our body, and the organs and glands and muscles and everything, opening to receive the flow of that peaceful, easeful light and love going where it needs to go. And the cleansing breath out. It's as if we're been knocked off the rocks, standing by the ocean into the foaming white water, bouncing around off the rocks and gasping for air, and the power of the waves of vibration of what comes to us from what's happening in the world knocks us off the rocks and into the water, smashed around. And are we going to get killed smashing into a rock? Are we going to drown? Are we going to panic? For breathing in and breathing out and dropping slowly down, imagining we have an oxygen tank on our back and the tube coming from the tank into our mouth, oxygen flowing into us. So we can relax with knowing we're being fed life force energy. We just slowly drop deeper down in the water until we reach the bottom, underneath the waves, underneath the storming waters, the winds, the currents, deep place of peace at the very bottom, at the center of our being, a place of infinite peace, a place of infinite light, a place of infinite love, a place of connection and attunement and communion with the underlying infinite, ongoing creative wisdom, power, energy of the universe. Call it what you will. Now I'm reminded, native people in Turtle Island, here in Turtle Island, African people in Mother Africa have been surviving under genocidal violence for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Catastrophes inflicted upon their people as catastrophes are being inflicted on people today in the Middle East and other places. And how do the native people survive the catastrophes? How do the Hopi say that in the time of purification that Mother Earth is going through to try to help us wake up and remember Aloha, our sacred union? Remember Aloha, cosmic love consciousness. That's the essence of our being, in which we're all joined and interconnected and interwoven into a oneness in which there's no separation. How do they guide the people to survive through the challenging times? They said, remember the original instructions that Creator gave us about how to live here on Mother Earth. And the people who will be able to survive and make it through these challenging times are the ones who are aligned with and living from a recognition and understanding of our sacred unity. And that at each moment in being alive is an opportunity to make a conscious choice about what we put our attention into. When we put our attention into identifying with our ego's agendas, our ego stories, and our ego identity, Not saying any of those are wrong with judgment, just saying it in the truth of it's not who we are at the essence of our being. So using these challenging times and whatever they trigger inside of us and our feelings, our thoughts, our stories, to help us wake up and remember we're more than the identity of body, ego, its stories, and its experiences. We are one and at one with infinite, unconditional light and love. We are stardust brought to earth, stardust brought to birth, to shine. In order to shine, we have to address not just the symptoms. The violence in the world today are symptoms. People don't do violence out of the blue, out of context. There's something going on in their lives when we do violence. And if we want to do more than treat the symptoms or pour oil with more violence in response to violence, we want to open a doorway to somehow bring healing with justice and create a win-win, healthy, peaceful world for all beings, which is possible for us to create. In this world, it's possible. With great spirit's help, anything's possible. And if enough of us do the work to open our consciousness to wake up and remember Aloha, our sacred union, remember the essence of our being, Aloha, cosmic love. This can open the doorway to heal the wounds that are at the root cause of the violence. Because if we want transformation, we have to go to the root causes of what brings people to such violence. Human beings, just like us, with feelings. What brings people to such desperate, hurtful acts? What are the causes in their lives that bring violence about? And what are the causes in our own lives that bring our violence about? Maybe it's not on the physical plane, but violence in terms of negative judgments about ourselves, negative thought forms about ourselves, negative beliefs of limitation about who we are, what we're capable of doing. We judge our being, we judge the being of another, we hurt ourselves, and that's a violent act, and it feeds violence in the world. And when we open our hearts and remember our oneness, and we send out healing light and love and inspiring people to wake up from the darkness of illusion, of separation that fuels fear, that fuels violence, and recognize that what we do to another, we do to ourselves, our children, our grandchildren. Shamanism and the practices of the shamanism are all about waking up and remembering we're more than our physical bodies and more than our physical beings. We live in a field of infinite energy with different manifestations of those energies we call spirits. And it's those energies that give us life and sustain our life. And the original instructions were, you have to take to live. So take of the gifts offered to you from the universe, from each direction, gifts constantly being given nonstop. Take time to notice those gifts coming into you. Most dramatic of one that is the illumination of the sun coming up in the morning, the power of light to cut through darkness, reminding us, no matter how dark it is, the power of light cuts through darkness. And so it's on us to do our work to transform our own inner darkness to that light, connecting with that light that is the essence of our being, and being channels for it out into the world. And this is what has the potential when we give thanks for those gifts of our lives, gratitude. It opens the doorway to receive more. So in the midst of struggles and difficult times, gratitude for what we do have, and prayers for the people suffering, prayers for healing of minds, bodies, spirits, and to hold a vision of what's possible. To hold a vision in our mind's eye and seed it with positive energy, that it is possible to create peace with justice, a win-win solution in the Middle East and all over precious Mother Earth's body. It is possible. by opening to guidance greater than ego, to great spirits, guidance, Vahantanka, the sacred mystery, the creative wisdom power of the universe, with humility and receptivity. Great Spirit, what can I do? What can we do working together to help heal those wounds and to bring about and manifest the peaceful and just and beautiful and equitable, cooperative, fullest blossoming, greatest good, win-win world? What would that look like? What would that feel like? People cooperating, supporting each other, and providing the resources to every human being for them to be able to achieve the fullest realization of their highest potentials. And we support each other in doing that, working cooperatively with Mother Ocean and with the animals and the plants. What the Huichol people call Tekutsi Nakaway, great-grandmother growth, that through these crises, great-grandmother growth is trying to grow us to wake up, to wise up to the truth of who we are and our purpose in being here, to live, love now. And may our joining here today, Shamanic Sundays, whoever's listening to this, open to receive, beam of energy flowing in to support you and doing your work, to polish up your stardust and be a channel, an open, clear, unattached to outcome, freely serving higher will. Every one of us makes a difference in what's happening in the planetary field. Let's make a difference for healing of the sacred hoop by how we are in relationship with ourselves. As Ram Dass says, always working on your own consciousness, battling the demons that would close our heart and imprison our mind in judgment, opening up the pipes to receive that with each breath in. Open, receive, love's healing flow. Remembering the waves of the ocean flow with ease. The waves flow with ease. Open, receive, love's healing flow, flowing through us and out into the world for the healing of the sacred hoop. May it be so. Oh, Omprios. Oh.
Oh, thank you, Dad.
Yeah.
Love that. And there are times in our lives when, the normal practices maybe that we're doing just aren't helping us to be able to feel that healing love as much, feel that flow as much, especially, in times such as what's happening, in Israel and with Hamas and, any specific shamanic principles that we could practice to open the channels a little bit more.
Well, the word immediately comes up in my mind in response to what you're asking: surrender.
Mm-hmm.
And surrender is letting go.
Mm-hmm.
It's different. I remember Ocean telling me long ago, there's a difference between surrender and quitting. And quitting is you give up with this despair and angst and negativity, and it's just that's quitting. And maybe anger and resentment and disappointment and depression and surrender is just the opposite. She said surrender is taking your burden, whatever it is, your feelings, your anxiety, your fear, your hurt, your pain, your suffering, your worry, taking all whatever it is, taking it over and bringing it over to the altar of spirit and surrendering it into spirit. And acknowledging what the wisdom traditions of the world speak about in terms of surrender. Surrender into spirit, surrender into the oneness, admitting it. I whatever's true, as an example, I'm saying I'm distraught, I'm depressed, I feel totally frustrated and nothing works. I'm everything looks horrible to me. I'm depressed. I don't know what to do. I'm overwhelmed. All of that. But taking all of that, denying none of it, judging none of it, but holding ourselves with compassion and tenderness and carrying that burden. Imagine carrying that burden over the altar of spirit and say, this is too much for me. I can't handle it. I give it to you. And I don't know how to respond to the pressures that I feel inside of me, and what the pressures of horrible activity taking place in the world against innocent people. I don't know how to respond, and my usual tools or practices to help me open to you aren't working. So I surrender to you. I just release with humility into your grace. I release with humility and receptivity into your grace, into your presence. I surrender to you, and I open myself up to your guidance. I open myself up to your guidance, flowing in with each breath about how to create a response to the truth of all of what I'm feeling and experiencing. I seek your guidance about how I can create a response to it all that grows me in the ways that are truly for my fullest blossoming and greatest good, walking my heart path to completion with joy, grace, and gratitude in the midst of the burning fires, with joy, grace, and gratitude in the midst of the burning fires. And I can't do that on my own. So I have to surrender my ownness to you, Great Spirit, and open up to my oneness with you for that strength to be able to keep going with an open heart in the midst of the fires and be a channel for your healing light and love. So thank you, great mystery. You who have been always, you who will be always, you who are here right now. Thank you for sacred right now. Thank you for this opportunity of being alive right now in these challenging times. So with your help, I can create a response that grows me in my ability to be a channel honoring the light and love that I am, that comes from you through grace, remembering that grace grows where gratitude flows. Healing of the hearts and the minds of people around the world, helping us to wake up to how we are all related. We are all one human family. Healing of the roots from which the pain and suffering comes from that leads to violence. Healing of those root causes. Healing of those root causes. So we can turn, if think of the metaphor of gardening, we can turn the shit of life into compost, create a relationship to it, to compost it, to help new flowers of beauty and health and healing to flow up from the earth. When I was doing my morning prayers this morning outside by the lion's tail bush, 6 to 8 feet in the air, just and hundreds of bees buzzing around it, and the hummingbird buzzing in it. They all love the nectar. This is what Mother Earth, great grandmother of the growth, is capable of creating in this wonderful, beautiful world. May we use what's happening today to help us to remember how we're all connected with this, with the power that manifests this beauty, and what is capable of manifesting, and we're capable of helping to serve as gardeners to bring it through for healing of the sacred hoop, fullest blossoming, greatest good. It's possible for us to do this, and we're all here in this time incarnated, so we can show up, experience exactly what's being triggered inside of by what's happening, and create responses to it all that opens the doorway for that healing to come through. May it be so. May it be so for all of us. Oh, Umbrios.
Oh, thank you. That teared me up a bit. And I had a thought, because I often struggle with the concept of surrender, because you also have to do, you can't just like sit in your rowboat and think you're going to end up at the right place. You have to like actually actively row somewhere, right? So I had the thought that maybe the surrender is in your heart and your mind, while you actively keep showing up to do your part, because you can't just, go totally where the current takes you. You need to be an active participant in it. So thank you for giving us the tools to be healthier, active participants in this process.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for making this happen. Shamanic Sundays happen in all the ways that you and your sister Nicole make it happen, and Andrea's supporting all of us. Oh.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your wisdom, your pioneering bridge builder. So thank you for that. Sending much love out to you and to all of our Shamanic Sundays community. Thank you for being here today. Blessings for your lives, and please share this with your friends and family who may find it of help too. We'll see you next Sunday.
Okay, bye con Dios. Oh.